It's a rainy Thursday morning in Nigeria's commercial capital, and I'll be honest, it took some serious motivation to get out of bed this morning. But as we all know, the show must go on. And today on Jasiri, we're diving into a topic that's not just sensitive, it's urgent. Poverty in Nigeria isn't just a statistic that we throw around. It's a lived daily struggle for millions. The National Bureau of Statistics puts the figure at 133 million Nigerians who are considered multidimensionally poor. Not just poor, multidimensionally poor. And that's a staggering 63% of the country's population who experience significant deprivations across multiple aspects of life, including health, education, and living standards. And despite being one of Africa's largest economies and being a country rich in resources and people, Nigeria consistently ranks among the countries with the highest number of people living in extreme poverty. For many citizens, especially young people, the struggle to find meaningful work, access quality education, and afford basic needs raises some hard questions. Is poverty just bad luck, or is it a result of a system that has failed? Who should be held accountable, and is there still hope for a better future? We'll be unpacking all of this with our guest in just a bit. But first,
what's a conversation on poverty without hearing from those who carry its burden every single day? So we hit the streets to feel the pulse of people on this challenge. So let's dive deeper into how ordinary Nigerians experience poverty, what they believe is causing it, and whether they feel the government is doing enough to end it. These aren't just questions for experts or politicians. They are real, urgent concerns for everyone affected. This is Jasiri on the Street.
I know Nigeria is not that buoyant in terms of our economy. Not that we don't have the resources. We have it, but we are not harnessing it very well. So if they say we are the highest, we recorded the highest poverty in the world, I don't feel very good because I'm a Nigerian. I don't feel good hearing that.
Sometimes ago, during Jonathan, Tinubu grouped people all over the countries and talk about poverty. Why is he there now? Why is he not working on poverty?
There's a high rate of unemployment. A lot of youths are on the streets, and the purchasing power of the naira has really devalued.
So I can say government contributed at least a larger percentage of it. So we have to blame them in their own way. Then we also the youth. We will not, because the government is bad, we will not try in our own side.
I will not say it's bad luck from the people, but I would say it's from the government and from the people at the same time.
The primary school you are seeing now, you can't even pay a primary school fee. How will you pay secondary school nor university?
They shouldn't get there, and at the end of the day, they are looking for excuses or blaming the past governments. They should be able to do what is necessary.
The rate at which we have thieves and the kidnapping and other stuff that is happening now is not making sense. And it's because there is no job opportunity for people.
We have citizens that are doing well in other countries, in other developed nations, but when those in power, they are not putting things in place to actually make everybody feel comfortable. So the basic things that are done in other countries, is not available in Nigeria.
It doesn't have to be only white collar jobs. There are still other. They are like barbers, mechanics, caterers, bakers. There are different skills. You should create more job opportunities, and again, you should create job security.
For me, as an example, I'm not even comfortable living in Nigeria. Like for a graduate, having a degree holder, 2 degrees, okay, from the university, and no job is provided, nothing is provided.
They should at least create an enabling environment, give us at least electricity, give us resources that makes life better.
We need power supply for agriculture to boost agriculture. There are so many crops that are being wasted. If there was power to dehydrate crops, to dehydrate this excess production, we will be able to resell them.
I don't discourage that people shouldn't travel, though. In fact, if I see opportunity, I will jackpot too.
One name, I will jackpot. In fact, I will run for 40.
Me, if I have opportunity, I will leave this country. Oh. I will carry on my family and jackpot.
Oh, wow.
I will jackpot.
And it's just, you know, we've had the jackpot conversation, we've had the economic conversation, we've had the state of the nation conversation. What did we start with? We spoke to Cheta on Tuesday, and we talked about the spillover of campus cults into gang violence on the streets. We also spoke yesterday about over-admission scam. If you're talking about young Nigerians, the country is not giving them any reason to want to hold on, to want to be loyal. You're not helping them in any way. I know they'll tell you it's not ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. But your country needs to give you something small.
What are we even saying?
So the basic things, that's what people are saying. The basic things. It's not as if the country is poor. Okay, there's poverty. Yeah, we've been hearing it for over decades. In fact, when I was much younger, my mom would send me to the market and say, price it, this is this much, price it, you know things are hard. I've been hearing that since, you know things are hard, and then we're still hearing that now. It's not as if these things are not provided or cannot be provided. The country is not, when you go when you visit other countries, you can testify
Other countries don't have as much as we do.
Honestly, I'm wondering that, okay, are we saying that since we have been talking, the polity do not hear us? Or is it that once they sit on that chair, they forget what it is like to be an ordinary citizen working on a daily basis to make ends meet? And if people look at it, if we look at it statistically, you see that a lot of SMEs are contributing a lot
employment,
to employment,
they employ the most number of Nigerians.
They're doing their own best.
It doesn't have
but
to
if
be
the
right
country is a
quality.
little easier and the enabling environment is easier to do business. Sometimes I will hear business people talk. They talk with so much pain. They'll say things like, to do business in Nigeria is not for the
It's not for the weak, it's not for the
faint-hearted. It's as if the more they try to move in this direction, the more blockades, the more things that are put in their way. We need this country to work better for us. Even people that are talking about Japa should be even abroad. The only difference between us and maybe developed countries is that you know that you can, if you are earning, you know what your earning is getting you. You are getting power supply, regular, water, your roads are maintained,
better structured,
your tax
better organized.
is working. It might be a lot, because a lot of people don't know that abroad too, heavy taxation on your income, it can be a little burdensome. But if all those things are taken away, you know that, okay, I can share the rest of this thing on grocery, and you would even be able to have accommodation that is okay.
What are we doing with borrowing, for example? Do you know there's some countries in the world that have zero borrowing, nothing?
No, every country in the world.
No.
Every country in the world. It's in the intentionality of what you use the borrowing for.
Liechtenstein.
Okay, so you can't be talking Liechtenstein talking Nigeria.
No, I'm serious.
Liechtenstein is like I said Liechtenstein is like you cannot be comparing Liechtenstein to Switzerland. Switzerland is maybe like very Nikeja.
Okay, maybe we shouldn't go far. Let's go to Burkina Faso.
They're borrowing. They're borrowing. Remember their friends. Remember their background is with France. Hello. Remember their background is with France. They're trying to the French
okay, I don't want us to go there so it doesn't look like we're idolizing President Traore, you know, or Burkina Faso. But let's not let.
But Kathy, why have you been mentioning Traore since yesterday? I heard you try to even pronounce it to one of the cleaners. Traore.
We're going off topic. Focus. Leave Lolo.
But you know that this is one of the things that help Nigerians cope. We know how to make fun even out of difficult situations. Look at that lady that was talking. She said she has 2 degrees. And yet she cannot really make ends meet.
You know, we talked about ends meet, was it last? Ends are like here.
Ends are
here, ends are here. They're not coming together to meet anytime soon.
I went to market. I had to change the market that I shop in because
you had to change your market.
It was just too, Ajah market was just too hectic for me, and sometimes, so I moved to another market that was closer. You know, and the people will say, no, you're in the market. I say, The
We all
economy.
live in this Nigeria.
You know, when we go to market, before if I send maybe my children to go or someone,
You feel that they're cheated. Yeah.
I feel cheated, and sometimes I can't make heads or tail out of what they buy.
Back, yeah.
But when I went, I was able to buy turkey because I saw it cheaper. Turkey has been going for like 9,000, 9,500. I saw it for 7,800. I bought turkey. I'm like,
See, that's the thing.
Turkey. But if I send someone to the market, every woman has become an accountant.
Yes.
Right? You have become a preservator.
Yeah.
You have become you become a cook. Now I have to cook for myself because if I make egusi soup, I just told my children, let's try Ijebu egusi. So it's not just because it's delicious; it has water content. So like when I make dry egusi,
yes.
when we make dry egusi, to lose the
Just
same
take one eba with
one eba, they juke it
that's
to one pomo like this, the whole soup is gone.
So I want to go back to what she was talking about in terms of like SMEs, and I just realized, you know, we have a restaurant in Apapa. There's no lights for 2 weeks.
Know how much you spend on generator, food to keep your freezer.
They came to take over my freezer at home. We took
Yeah.
over Momsi's freezer in her house, my mother-in-law's house, so that we could preserve what had been bought for the
From the
restaurant.
market.
Every time I go out and I say, oh babe, I saw yam at this price, and they go to, I think, Mamedu every 2 weeks. We're always comparing, okay, if you bought yam at this price, if we go there and we buy 10 kilos of yam, is it going to be cheaper than if these were things that we didn't really consciously think of. And then you struggle because businesses are then struggling to scale up.
Yeah.
To offer more or to even employ more. And in fact, we know how many businesses have closed since COVID-19 and then since some of the economic decisions that have been taken. So you have a whole bunch of factors that are colluding, coming together to be with 133 million Nigerians.
Yes,
multidimensionally. I heard her when I said this.
Scary. Like
it's not just about being poor.
That means you are poor in every way.
Dimensionally poor.
Yeah.
And it doesn't make sense.
No. And what keeps us going is our hustle attitude, our resilience.
But you cannot over-hustle. You cannot out-hustle.
No.
You cannot, in spite and despite, succeed when you have a government in one decision can absolutely wipe out all the progress you've
Look
made.
at all the cost of shops.
Unto
Have you
ourselves.
seen the cost of shops even in the market? There are some of these women that are selling, you know,
petty
items.
That they use
can't
shade
even
to-
afford it.
Yeah.
And that is now not compared to multi-taxation. Aside the one that is supposed to go to government, maybe for the care, they will pay market tax. In my presence, sometimes I stay in the market, I'll see 6 people come to one woman selling okra.
Don't they tell you to pay Owole? I was like, Owole.
Owole
Translates to money of the land, but so it's a different tax. So when you're buying from some women or some market people, you'll pay for the product or whatever item you buy. Then they'll tell you that boya 50 naira you have to pay on top is Owole. It's like
they too. They are trying to share.
Renting.
They are trying to pay to
split it out.
Split it out so that everybody takes a little bit of it. Because you will see area boy come for
It's like saying you're paying land use charge.
Basically.
Yeah, it's like land use charge.
Yes.
As if you want to pay for the land that you are working on or trading on. You see, Nigeria hits people from all sides.
angles.
It's as if they want you to drown at all costs. You will see people are still struggling to keep their head above water, and something will come and push your head under. And that is why vices will continue. Look at all this. We're talking about the employed numbers. How about the unemployed numbers? Are they not going to weigh on the employed? The unemployed will weigh on the employed. Is that not where we now start to see vices entrenched in the society? Because the person that is sitting at home doesn't want to just sit at home and not eat.
No,
he has to find a way to get the money to
survive. A lot of people
survive.
don't sit at home anymore. Before, it was a public holiday 2 days ago, isn't it? 2 days ago, the roads were still full of human beings. And I was wondering, people don't sit at home anymore.
They can't afford to
sit at home.
Somebody told me, said, so there was public holiday. She was doing a video on Instagram that she wasn't even aware.
There was a statistic a few years ago that for every one salary in Nigeria, it accounts for like 5 people. So we can imagine what everyone's salary now, how many people one individual salary is holding up. Let's take a break, that conversation.
All right, up next on Jasiri, it seems that if poverty were a person in Nigeria, it wouldn't be hiding. It would be standing in traffic, waiting in clinics, sitting in overcrowded classrooms, fully visible, fully ignored. But behind every statistic is a policy choice, a diverted fund, a government that says, in quote, we care, but budgets like it doesn't. When we come back, we'll be digging deeper with Dr. Mamedu Country Director of ActionAid Nigeria, as we look at poverty in plain sight, rethinking Nigeria's fight against inequality. What will it take to dismantle structural inequality? These and more questions we'll be answering after the break. Stay with us.
Like Blessing says, many thanks for staying with us. You can join the conversation on social media. We are at News Central TV. So for years, Nigeria has been labeled the poverty capital of the world. And while that headline often sparks embarrassment or denial, the reality on the ground speaks louder. People are hungry. Families are sliding deeper into debt, and hope is shrinking, not just in rural communities, but in our cities too. But here's what's worse. This poverty isn't invisible. It's everywhere. We see it in the crowded hospitals, the out-of-school children, the flooded neighborhoods, and the empty job boards. And yet, somehow, billions are budgeted, but nothing seems to change. The truth is, when you look closely, Nigeria doesn't lack ideas or policies or programs. What we seem to lack is political will, equitable investment, and accountability. So joining us today to unpack all of this, from broken promises to bold possibilities, is someone who's worked in the heart of these conversations and communities. Dr. Andrew Mamedu is the Country Director of ActionAid Nigeria and a leading voice also in the push for social and development justice in the country. Dr. Mamedu, like I said, once again, welcome to Jasiri. What you hear and what you see here is how we are. But we make you very welcome on the show. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. I like having people like him, but oftentimes I'm unhappy with the fact of the subjects that they come to talk about. Because it's one that it's just somehow, but let's get straight into it. So without mincing words, Nigeria has launched poverty eradication initiatives for decades. From NAPEP to Empower to SIPS and many more. But year after year, decade after decade, more and more Nigerians seem to fall in, slide in, whatever terminology you want to use. They're finding themselves in poverty. Why are we still here, especially given all the money, both local and foreign, that goes into poverty alleviation? And why are we arguably probably worse off as well?
Yeah, thank you very much. Nigeria is a country that is not short of policies, like you said it, and we are not short of actions. So we come up with actions, but the question is, are we implementing the right action? And are we accountable for these actions that we are dealing with? As ActionAid, we work on budget issues. So over the years, consistently, the annual budgets of the federal government and even the state government has been increasing. So we've already gotten an inkling that next year the federal budget is going to increase more than what it is right now. But the question is, while budget is increasing, the level of poverty is also increasing. So that tells us something. If you look at our population, statistically, the Nigerian population, it's about 2.8 of the global population. We have 8 billion persons living globally right now. Nigeria is about 235 million. So that's about 2.8, less than 3% of the world population. But Nigeria accounts for 15% of the poorest of the poor. So Nigerians, poorest of the poor, account for 15% of the global poverty, those that are living in poverty, extreme poverty. And these are people that are living on $2.15 a day. If you add it a day. So if you add it, that gives you about 70,000 naira in a month with 22 working days. So if anything happens to our exchange rate now, which most likely is going to happen, we're going to, those even getting minimum wage are going to slip into the poverty line. And some of these figures are figures that we got before subsidy removal, the exchange rate harmonization.
Right after COVID, maybe.
Before, just after COVID, right? And if you look at it now, the situation is worse off. It tells us that we are getting something wrong.
Yes.
You cannot live here, say you are heading to Abuja and you are heading towards Niger, the border, heading towards the border, And if you're heading towards the border, definitely you're going towards another country. You're not going towards Abuja. So until you change direction, basically our message is let the budget, let the policy work for the people. The policy, the budget, it's not working for the people. So it's about, they say there is a disconnect. So how do we then come together and reconnect this? There is a huge disagreement between the politicians and the citizens. So the voice pop you did, the people speaking, well, those are realities. So when you hear people speak in the street, these are people, like you said, in the streets, in classrooms, in the hospital. These are real people, right?
Yes.
Now, these people are speaking from lived experience. But then we listen to our politicians, and our politicians say, no, this is not the case, that we are improving, that things are changing. But yeah, maybe things are changing. We're not saying that things are not changing. There's a bit of improvement. But the rate of improvement, the rate of change is not commensurate with the level of poverty that people are facing, we're faced with every day.
Dr. Mamedu, you know, I'm just looking at everybody, and I'm like, okay, who are the people that are falling through the cracks of these programs? Because we have series of them, a lot of them. In fact, every administration comes with its own unique program. And why are they consistently ignored when it comes to national planning? Every program has allocations, budgets. So how come
launching a
conference, a conglomerate of people working on these projects, and you're still wondering that people are still falling through the cracks? What are we doing wrong?
A whole lot of things.
And who are the people?
Who are the people
falling through the cracks?
A whole lot of things, and there are a lot of stakeholders that are culprits in this, that are involved in this, from the international community. So I'm going to come to that perspective. So where you have the World Bank and IMF, the role they play in this, to our leaders, and even for us, civil society and the media, we also have a role to play. Now, let me be practical. Let me give you a practical example. So recently, what's the recent thing we've done? Tractor. So the president got 2,000 tractors. So the question is, at the end of the day, where would those 2,000 tractors be found? Where would they be headed? Right? Some months ago, the president distributed, the federal government, CBN, Central Bank of Nigeria, through the federal government, distributed fertilizers to farmers. Now, these are sure ways we know we can deal with poverty. So agric is one of the ways we know we can deal with poverty. So getting fertilizer, of course, we advocate for organic farming though. So getting fertilizers down the chain would help deal with that. So some state governments, not all the state governors, got as much as 40 trucks of fertilizer. It is assumed that these 40 trucks will be distributed and it will be subsidized and it will go down the chain. But at the end of the day, we got a good number of the governors, senators got, House of Rep members got, ministers got. So they all got allocation, right? And the plan was for fertilizer, yes. So the plan was get it down your constituents, send it to the people. But we have reports where some of these persons were selling the fertilizer.
What did I tell you about insecticide-treated nets?
So that is so it's not a case of, it's not just about the president. So the president, what the president owes, and the biggest thing he can do is that political will. Is that political will to coordinate and bring the whole country together? Is that political will to hold the governors accountable? And the president has shown that he has that political will in some instances. So if you pick the local government autonomy, even though the 36 state governors were against him, but he went ahead and he was able to get that judgment. And getting that judgment showed that he had that political, he was interested in it. So what is the level of interest of the president on issues of agriculture? We recognize that agriculture is one of the ways we can deal with poverty.
And food insecurity as well.
Definitely, food insecurity. And if you deal with that, you also deal with insecurity in itself. People will get busy, people will go to the farm, people will get busy. So the president needs to show that political will. So if you go from the president, you go to the National Assembly. The question is, let me tell you one, I'm coming from a meeting right now. And in that meeting, we're having conversation about agricultural budgets. The last year budget that went to the National Assembly, the bill that went to the National Assembly for appropriation, it started with 200 billion naira for agric, right? But at the end of the day, what came out was 1 trillion naira. And the minister says, I don't know
where the extra
where that 800 billion is coming from. So it has been, I don't want to use the word padding.
You know,
so those are realities that we are faced with. And if we, no matter the policies or the programs we put out there,
Get it.
we are talking about people here.
Yes.
We're talking about the lives of people here. We're
Yeah.
talking about Nkechi. We're talking about Musa.
Yeah.
We're talking about Amina. We're talking about. So these are real people that are in the classroom, that are in the farm, that are in the communities. These are people, and it is widening the gap between the have and the have-not. The level of inequality is increasing.
Dr. Mamedu, before we go on a break, I want to quickly touch on this. We hear so much about the conditional cash transfer. Started under President Buhari, continued under President Tinubu. World Bank in May of this year said that the cash transfer missed millions of needy Nigerians. But we were also told in January that the government was going to distribute 75,000 naira cash to 70 million Nigerians in 2025. Do you think the conditional cash transfer under, I think it's the National Safety Net, or National Safety, National Social Safety Net Coordination, something, is hitting the mark, or it's missing it? Is it cash that these people need? And then are we having a these people conversation and not bringing them in to talk about what they need? Are we all assuming that these are the things that will work for them and not asking them what they really need and what will work for them?
It's a combination of all of them. So yes, if those resources, if the 75,000 actually gets to the community, gets to these people, and not politicized, so not going to political cronies, if it goes to them, there's going to be a shift in the market, right? However, there are also long-term investments. So people are hungry, you need to deal with it now. People need to eat and all of that, so you need to deal with it now. But the long-term ones would include things like the fertilizer, the farming, and all of those kind of things. So the question is, why are we not, the 75,000, why are we not sure that it goes to the right people? Why are we not sure that somebody does not tell you that, oh, I will add your name, you will get 75,000, and you will return 45,000 to me.
Okay.
The thing is, there's some certain questions we ask ourselves that we know exist, but because you cannot prove it. We know in this country that for you to get contracts in government, you have to give kickbacks. We know in this country that people pay to get jobs in government agencies. We know, even the government knows. So we know there are certain things you know. I lead an organization, and once I hear all those things, the next thing is I search for evidence and I deal with them. So if we know all those things, why are we not going after them? So with what the World Bank is saying, yes, with the 75,000, it is a good initiative. We can do much more. The question is, where will the resource come from? Maybe we'll talk about it when we come back from the break. We will talk about it when we come back. But clearly, citizens need to we need to listen to citizens' voice. What do they actually want? What can actually make changes in the life of these people? And then we need to actually execute. Execution and accountability is a big issue that we are dealing with as a country.
All right, let's take a break here. What does rethinking Nigeria's fight against inequality look like? And where is the next generation of Nigerians in this? The conversation continues after the break. This is Jasiri. Please stay with us. Our guest today...
Back into the conversation.
Exactly. Go ahead. Our guest today is Dr. Andrew Mamedu. He's the Country Director of ActionAid Nigeria. We've had incredible conversations during the break, and we've been looking at rethinking Nigeria's fight against inequality. So, in the World Bank's April 2025 Poverty and Equity Brief on Nigeria, the poverty rate among the rural population in the country has apparently reached an alarming 75.5%. 41.3% of the urban population lives below poverty line. At that time, World Bank projections say over 54% of Nigerians are living in poverty. When asked about these stats, you noted governance remains Nigeria's greatest obstacle. The World Bank has clearly highlighted the country's poor performance on governance indicators such as government effectiveness, accountability, and political stability, which remain among the weakest in Africa. Dr. Mamedu, before the break, and before we shift to Nigeria's youth, what do we need to do if we are to rethink how Nigeria approaches this fight against inequality?
We need to get our budget to work for us. We need to be accountable, like I said, in what we currently have. So if the budget works for us, we would, if we're able to get 80% of our budget to work for us.
How do we do that?
So it's, that's where we all come to play, citizens. So with citizens, we're talking about the frog. So you put a frog in the water and you start the temperature, the frog adjusts.
Yes.
Would adjust gradually. If you increase the temperature, it just keeps adjusting until before it knows what, it's too late for it to jump out. So Nigerians, we find a way of surviving, and our leaders help us to do that very well. Very well. So your road is bad, what did you get? A jeep, you don't have light, you get a generator, you don't have water, you sink a borehole. So we have a response mechanism. Our level of resilience is both positive and it's negative.
Yes.
So, but how do we convert that energy? Nigeria has got lots of energy. You see lots of ingenuity, and you see that even manifested in the level of corruption, right?
Yes,
so,
that's ingenuity.
Yes. So how do we transform that into holding our government accountable? I think that's just a major thing. Countries. I talked about the meeting. Now, this is what the senator said. The senator that was with us, one of the senators in the Committee on Agri, he says that Nigeria is not different from other countries. The difference between Nigeria and other countries is that the citizens of those countries hold their leaders accountable. Now, if you don't hold us accountable, we will keep doing what we are doing. So it is your responsibility as citizens and as civil society. We're going to frame that. I'm going to put it out everywhere and say, this is what a leader is saying. We need to hold our leaders accountable. And hold them very well accountable. Yes.
Excuse me, sir. We talk about it, and it's not that I don't agree. I agree with you. But I always remember a conversation I had on radio, and somebody called me and said one day that democracy starts at breakfast. That when somebody is looking for how to eat in the morning, how to send their kids to school, how to make their ends meet, that $2.15 is just around 3,300 and something naira per day. And that's what some families will live. When they're focused on that, I don't think I have the headspace to try to be catching the National Assembly or providing feedback to the president. I'm just looking to survive. So as long as Nigerians are looking to survive, how am I supposed to be worried about somebody being accountable?
Perfect. This is what the government, this is what the politicians are holding on to. A typical example, analysis I did a training in London School of Economics recently, and it was about policy influencing. So it talks about, example would be our fuel subsidy. So if you increase price of fuel by 3 naira, right? Individuals, for you, it's just 3 naira per liter. In all, probably it becomes like 2,000 or 3,000. Like, okay, it's 2,000, 3,000 per liter. Let me just pay. But when you aggregate it, it comes into trillion.
Yes.
And then somebody, so let's say the NMPC benefits 1/4 of that. So let's say 250 billion from that whole process. So they have more incentive to sustain that status quo. But you, because it's 3,000 naira you are paying per week, you just say, it's not 3,000. Oh, I'm busy, I'm doing breakfast. Why should, I have to take my child to school. But until we all, as citizens, come together and recognize that we have to sacrifice for them now, for our future. If we do not do that, we're going to keep this trajectory of, we'll keep going for breakfast. We'll have breakfast at some point. But guess what? It might get to a point where there'll probably be no breakfast for a lot more people. Right now, there is no breakfast for a good number of Nigerians. These people we're talking about, there are millions of Nigerians that go to bed every day without a meal.
Yes.
That number will keep increasing until we now put a pause and say, let's hold on.
But how did we get so docile? How did we get so blasé? How do we get so, I don't know, we're not even...
Say it in French.
Yeah, so I think it's been gradual and it's worsening.
Yeah.
So the narrative that is out there, so you hear people say, so when it even comes to election, we still go back to our primordial sentiments.
Tribe and religion.
Tribe and religion.
Yeah.
So it's my place, it's my person, it's from here, it's from there. We still have those conversations. We never talk about who is likely to change this narrative and take us on the right path. We recognize that it sounds very good. Oh, the person comes and gives you nice, sweet talks, nice promises. Those things are just promises, right? And they give you rice, they give you Maggi, they give you all those things. Somebody said now they give beer to the men and all that too. So they give you all those things, and it's just for the now. But nobody sees to say, no, we're not thinking of the now, we're thinking of the future. So let the person has come in. But how do we all come to hold them accountable? And of course, they tell you, one thing, we're having conversation that in this same meeting, and we said, what's wrong with protest? Let's bring protest on the table. I'm like, no, you can't do protest. That what if people die and all that? I was speaking to an ambassador in this country, ambassador to this country, and he says that people are dying anyways without your protest. He said, Nigerians are doing that. I said, people are dying every day without your protest. Why don't you come together and put a halt to this? That's what the ambassador was saying.
We've been protesting. We've talked about it.
Let's go to the future.
You know, we need to talk about the future.
Yeah.
Because the future of Nigeria is in the hands of the youth, as they have been saying from time immemorial.
Yeah.
The World Bank finds that more than 70% of Nigerian children and youth are poor. You know, how does childhood deprivation, you know, shape the trajectory of an entire generation? What must we do to reimagine, you know, our education, our healthcare and social support systems? Because as we are now, a lot of our youths, this is what they see. If you talk to the average Nigerian youth, they really don't have aspirations.
No.
Beyond their noses.
And they're angry. They're
and
disillusioned.
their anger is misplaced in so many places, like, and it turns them
others.
And being used on others, or to create chaos, or to bring, you know, some kind of bad happenings all around them. So how do we want to reimagine education? Because if you go into that with this education alone, we will shout on this table. Because we just talked about an issue yesterday that we have not readmitted. When universities would over-admit when they know they cannot graduate them. So we have a lot of problems. What do we do about the future generation?
So the future,
and are you worried about them?
I am worried. I am worried about them. And the worry is this generation, these young persons, they will get to a point where they would not take it.
They're getting there.
So that's the thing. So they will get to it. But that's why people like us, and you know what, when that happens, it's people like us are the average class that will be most affected.
Yeah.
Do you understand?
Yeah.
So when NSA started, did you hear of the private jets that were all getting ready to leave the country?
Yep.
Right? So they were all ready to leave the country, and they have, some of them, of course, they have second passports and all of that. So they will just leave the country. But people like us, we might not be able to leave the country immediately. So it affects the middle class. So the young persons of Nigeria, first of all, let's look at statistics. So statistics shows us that 70% of our population are below the age of 30. And that's about 160-something, 65 million. Ghana's population is about 35 million. So that means that's about 5 times the population of Ghana. So the youths of Nigeria, if you move them into Ghana. You need 5 Ghana's country.
Wow.
Yeah.
Then they go to a place like Gambia. Gambia is 2.8.
You need like 10.
It's actually about 60,
They are
59.
You need 59
in Gambia to be able to take our population of our 0 to 30, right? Now, so it's a huge number. This is a huge potential, but as well, it could also be a threat. It depends on how we spin it, how we work with it. And the young persons are very diligent, very intelligent people. You would always find a bad egg among the lot. You will always find that. So Nigerians should not be judged by 1 person or 2 persons that are doing Yahoo. And no, that's not the young person.
No, but they're angry. Yeah,
they're angry. They are angry.
There's a different wave now.
Yeah.
I'm just adding to the questions you're going to answer.
Sure.
The youth, they're angry, they're moving different. And the Gen Z thing, we itself are struggling to understand the direction that Gen Z really is going. The Gen Z, the normal Gen Z doesn't think they need to get a 9 to 5. Why? Because there are other streams, other ways to make money. Now, but there's a wave. And what is driving this wave? Because there's a rage. This is driving. What are the drivers of this rage? Because whether we like it or not, Tolu asked, are you worried for the young people? This rage, we saw it first manifest wholesomely during NSAS. And people are afraid that even there mightn't be a second version of that, because people are like disillusioned.
Yeah, so the thing is, I have before I graduated, those days, people graduate, you have 2-3 jobs waiting for you. People are coming to interview you. That
Not
was the
anymore.
trend. When I was graduating, when I was serving, some banks came to the NYC, did interview.
Yes.
I think I got like 2 offers and I had to choose one.
Yeah.
So those kind of things were happening, but the same way poverty is increasing, these opportunities for the young persons are decreasing. So our population increases by 2.1%. So even if your economy is growing at 3.8%, you will remove that population increase first. So you have just technically just 1-point-something% increase in your growth rate, economic growth rate.
Yeah.
So if you are not able to, and that does not even, the wastages that we have in the system is not accounted for. So the wastages is not helping us to, so then it means that the young persons will have a lot less to be able to have access to, and for them to handle. So how do we, that they are dynamic, they are open to new opportunities, to new ways of doing things. Yeah. How do you open up those spaces? Within agriculture alone, look at countries that are developed. Okay, let me pick China. China's agri production in 2023 was $1 trillion. $1 trillion. And Nigeria's own was $118 billion same year, right? Yeah. And if you look at that, that's 12 times. But if you look at our population, China has this population. Yeah. So China's population is China's population is put out. I know that China's population is times 6 hours, right? So their population is times 6 hours, our own population. So ordinarily, they should agriculture. China is I'm sure most of the equipments we have here would have linkage to China.
Some kind of inputs, 1.411 billion.
Perfect. So 1.4 billion divided by our 230-something, that is about times 6. But in terms of agri production, it's times 12. So they do more than us times 12. So we have all the advantages to increase our agri production. So within the agri value chain, there's a whole lot of, if young people find out that we can do well in agri, we can start exporting. Yeah. So once they see that they can get forex from export of agri produce within the value chain, they will all jump in, they will all come in, and the whole system will do well. So why would our Nigerian yam be produced in Nigeria, taken to Ghana,
packaged as Ghanaian yam,
and exported to Canada, US, and UK? Why?
Yeah. You know, I want to ask because, and I think I'll add to we don't have time. I know. I'll add women to this conversation, but do you think that Nigeria's political and economic systems are actively designed to exclude young people and women from power and progress?
So let me explain it this way. So if you have a bus and you have, the bus can take 10 people and you have 20 people struggling to enter, most likely it's survival of the fittest. Yeah. The strongest would try and get in first. So that is the situation. So most likely and most often, that is why women and young people are disadvantaged. But how would you explain people 80-something years still in politics?
Because they're not the fittest.
No, they are not. No, they are not the fittest. But in terms of being the fittest, they have deep pockets.
Yes. And they built structures around themselves.
They have all of those things. Yes. And how would you explain people, somebody of 70-something-year-old still struggling to run as the president of the country? So people of that age still struggling to run as president of the country. So those are the things that then keep the women and the young person. So we're talking about the women's bill. For crying out loud, why shouldn't that be signed with one hand? Like, okay, you know what? What's difficult about that? Yes. What's difficult about that? So let's start with this. We recognize that 3-point-something%, it is abysmal.
In the National Assembly, yeah.
The National Assembly. So it's abysmal. So how do we increase this? And we say, okay, let's create a special seat in this state for women. For women. It is not a favor. It is about us going out with our best 11, and we're trying to recruit our best 11. So let's get women and young people on the table. And if we're not putting them on the table, so the opportunities and that abound, first of all, the men will be the ones that will get it first, right? And if we don't all change our system, look at our system and alter it, then it will just continue in that path.
So, because of time, if we don't look at our system and change it or continue on that path, Dr. Mamedu, I want you to paint a picture in the final minutes we have of what happens to Nigeria in the next 10 years if we do not deal sincerely intentionally with our poverty issue, if we do not deal with the youth and their disillusionment, their sense of, their lack of belonging. They don't feel like they belong to Nigeria. If you ask many young people, how do you feel about being Nigerian? There's no sense of pride to it. And if we continue to exclude women, and that youth one I'm particularly interested in, because around the world you see the issues of youth restiveness. Yeah. If you don't find something for them to do, something will find them. So if we don't address these three things in the next 10 years, paint a picture of what can and most likely would happen. So
this is, I'm an incurable optimist. I believe that.
I'm not asking, you no, don't want to be a prophet of doom.
Yeah, I know. I'm an incurable optimist. I will start from the positive. So I believe that the leaders would try and, I know that politics has a role to play in this. Yeah. But at some point you need to downplay politics and improve on governance. So it's politics versus governance. You need to make a choice in taking decisions. So in some cases, the president, this is not just about the president. It's about the 36 state governors. Yeah. It's about the local government chairman.
The State House of Assembly.
State House of Assembly. So it's about a whole leadership structure within the country. Yeah. So if we do not do anything about it, it is not about doom and all that. No, it's about the reality what we face. Yeah. The young persons would try and take up that space.
But when you say the young person would try, because I noticed that, in fact, it's as if the system is rigged against the youth, against power.
But that's
yes, and progress.
Has to break that. If not,
because I'm looking at, if we don't create space for these young people, how do they get these spaces?
So they will force their way in.
The violent take
So they will force their way. That's what I'm saying. So if you don't create those spaces, the young persons will force their way into that space. And it will not be for the good of the country. Yeah. It might be violence. Yeah. So when we're saying let's transform the country, let's change the country, we're saying let's do it in a peaceful manner. And if you refuse to do it in a peaceful manner, you get to a point where you say, oh, police, stop protest. Then people will start different form of protest. How many police do we have that can stop that form of protest? You understand? So look at what happened in Kenya. Yeah. Recently,
and what is continuing to happen.
Continuing to happen, exactly. Yes. So Nigerians will get to that point. Now, like, okay, NSAS is just, so NSAS will just be a tip of the iceberg of what could happen in the future.
I don't think they understand that. So
if they don't understand that, they need to see that picture. So they think that with the state capture, because we have a whole lot of state capture, the judiciary has been captured, INEC has been captured, the police has been captured. We have evidence to show that these have been captured because of their actions and all that. Yeah. Why would the judge say restrict people from protesting and say you should go to the stadium?
Yeah.
What
the last protest that they tried to stage in Abuja.
It is a clarion call for the leaders of this country, for their own selfish reason, for them to still be in power.
For you to have a country to continue to quote unquote steal from.
For you to have a country that you continue to rule, basically, you need to do the right thing. And the right thing is create that space. Let's create more space. Yeah. Let's be more accountable. Let policies and programs work. Let's get the voices of young people and women. Let's bring them to the table. It is not a request. It is a right issue. Yeah. This is a right issue, and you're denying the rights of these persons, these basic things. There's a right to participate, and that is what ActionAid pushes and advocates for. And the country will benefit from it. Even the politicians will benefit from it. Why can't our politicians do good, do the right things, and expect that citizens in turn will repay them by voting for them?
A man cannot give what
we have to end the conversation.
Dr. Mamedu,
you have to come back.
Dr. Andrew Mamedu, thank you so much for sharing your insights and your expertise on these necessary conversations. Now, today, we've peeled back the layers of poverty that persist despite policy, of rage that simmers beneath the surface of a generation, and a power that continues to exclude the very voices that could transform this country. What's clear is this: inequality in Nigeria isn't accidental, it's curated, it's protected, and often it is also politically useful. Yep. Young people are tired, women are sidelined, and millions are being asked to survive on empty promises and sometimes recycled slogans. But here's the truth we can't ignore. You can't build a just society on exclusion. You cannot silence half the population and expect stability, and you can't dismiss youth frustration and expect peace. The question isn't whether Nigerians are ready to change the country. It's whether the systems built to hold power are ready to let go of what no longer serves the people. A few things to think about. Thank you so much for joining us today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.